Well, can you imagine what many New Yorkers were thinking when they looked up and saw a low-flying plane today? There's the picture, folks. That's what they saw just today. We'll talk to the man who took this picture. That's coming up in the next hour of the newsroom. Let's turn also to something else that we were watching in New York today, and people were watching and couldn't believe what they were seeing. Take a look. We've got a picture here. A huge jet flying low over lower Manhattan. 2 F-16s escorting a military 747 over New York City. It was part of a photo shoot, we're told. The FAA knew about it. NYPD knew about it. A lot of us did not know about it. A lot of civilians there had no idea. So hundreds of people were evacuated from their buildings, thinking something was wrong and thinking the worst, and understandably so, given what that city and this country has gone through back on 9/11. We'll be talking with iReporter Tom Kruk about all this at the bottom of the hour. We return now to a story we're not going to be too far from.
Welcome back. All right, whose bright idea was it to fly the president's plane in a couple of F-16 jets so low over Manhattan? These planes circled skyscrapers. Come on, basically scared the you-know-what out of people. It's unbelievable. Just listen to this.
Run. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Obviously, some people in a panic. Who could blame them? You have the 9/11 flashbacks, and it was all for a government photo op. New Yorkers have a right to be outraged here. Join me now to talk about this. Linda Garcia-Rose, social worker who works with 9/11 survivors. She saw yesterday's flyover. Also with us, Curtis Sliwa, radio talk show host, WABC Radio. I want to hear what his listeners had to say. And also with us by phone, Tom Kruk, an iReporter. He works at the Merrill Lynch building there, and Tom's got some great pictures to show us. So first off, let's just get everybody's take. Linda, I'll start with you. What did you see, and what was your reaction?
Well, my office is actually on the Hudson River, about 1 block north of the World Financial Center. And I was out walking my puppies at about 9:30, quarter to 10 in the morning, and I looked up and there was an airplane on top of us about 15 stories high. It was one of the most terrifying events that ever happened in my life, and I deal with terrifying events with my clients every single day. I'm the one who's supposed to be the calm one, and I actually had a panic attack. That's how horrible it was.
Wow. So people come to you for therapy, and you, and you know, like I said, I can't blame you.
Well, we're human beings too.
Yeah, exactly.
And while you're working with so much trauma every day, we're affected by secondary trauma syndrome, which is a type of PTSD.
Gotcha.
But more importantly, I'm here to represent really my patients and clients and the people be affected by this event. It's really just negligent emotional distress by the government.
Let me get Curtis Sliwa in on this. Curtis, did you see this? And also, what were your radio listeners saying about this? What have they been saying?
No, actually, I saw it the way most Americans did on video. But many of our listeners were somewhat jaundiced and skeptical that a military White House director of the military, Luis Caldera, we never heard from before, made this decision. Or notice the time sequence, very similar to the attack of 9/11. I think it was more of a military test by flying Air Force One in an F-16. See what the response of people would be. See what the response of law enforcement and public safety. Look, public safety was told this was going to happen. The mayor of New York City was all blustering, Michael Bloomberg. You mean to tell me his police chief, Raymond Kelly, didn't tell him what was going on?
So, Curtis, you don't buy, the explanation is what? That this was a photo op, that they wanted to have a picture of Air Force One with the Statue of Liberty in the background. You're not buying that, huh?
Come on, you know what they do now with computers. They do photo ops with computers. They digitalize it. You don't need to fly over. And even if you did, you'd do that on a Saturday or a Sunday when it was not rush hour, when there weren't so many millions of people jammed into both sides of the Hudson. Remember, Jersey City side and New York City side. No, this was to test to see what the reaction of citizens would be.
Interesting theory there. Obviously, no confirmation of that. That's Curtis's theory. Let's read the statement here. This is from, as Curtis mentioned Luis Caldera, former Secretary of the Army and the current Director of the White House Military Office, saying this: last week I approved a mission over New York. I take responsibility for that decision. While federal authorities took the proper steps to notify state and local authorities in New York and New Jersey, it's clear that the mission created confusion and disruption. I apologize and take responsibility for any distress that the flight caused. Let's bring in our iReporter, Tom Kruk. Tom, we're going to take a look at some of your pictures. What was going on in your mind when you saw this?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm really appreciate having the opportunity to tell the story. I went out with my buddies to grab some early morning coffee. It was such a beautiful day, and first thing we heard is this incredibly deafening noise of plane engines. And just beyond the residential building in front of us on the Hudson, we noticed what appeared to be a 747. We didn't see that it was Air Force One at the time. Making just a very low and fast flyby, and then turning incredibly sharply to the left and looked like it was heading straight for the Goldman Sachs building across the river. So we immediately thought that this was a terrorist attack or a plane in distress. But as soon as we seen the F-16, which looked like it was chasing it,
right,
we were just expecting it to get shot down at any moment, and we were just standing and watching it in awe.
Wow. Well, Tom, and I'll ask Linda as well. Do you accept the apology of Luis Caldera?
I don't think
Absolutely.
that any...
Go ahead, Tom. Let's get Tom, you first, and then Linda, I'll get you in. Tom, you accept the apology, or do you think he should lose his job?
I think at the very least he should resign. I think if I went into a crowded theater and screamed fire to a bunch of people who have been in a fire before, I would be charged at least.
Wow.
So I don't see how this is any different. I think it's cruel, and I think it's if this was something other than a photo op, which was stupid in the first place, I think it's borderline criminal.
Wow. Okay, Linda, you think he should lose his job as well, Linda?
Well, I agree, and I think that it's pure negligence and that the psychological long-term impact of this is immeasurable. There will be flashbacks associated with the time of day, besides the fact that there was a jet about 15 floors high that looked like it clipped the Mercantile building. Nightmares, increased drinking, alcohol abuse, and most of these people are poor. They don't have health insurance. And after January 2011, they won't have health insurance. And that's really what I'm concerned about, making sure these people are taken care of from a psychological, physical perspective.
Right. Curtis, clock's ticking on us, but what do you want to see? You think Caldera should lose his job?
Oh, you don't think it was Caldera who was the shot caller? Nothing's going to happen to Caldera. Look, the New York City Police Department, New Jersey City Police Department, public safety on both sides of the Hudson. This was a planned attempt to see what the reaction would be of all the elements. Nobody said nothing. And in fact, the Department of Defense really has to take responsibility. Gates himself should be doing a mea culpa and an apology, along with the President of the United States, who acted like he didn't know about it. Come on. What, are we all suckers out there?
Excellent segue, Curtis. And thanks, everyone. Linda, Curtis, Tom Kruk, we appreciate it. So let's get the official White House response from our Prime News correspondent, Rochelle Carey. What's President Obama saying about this? He was mad, right?
That Curtis is something, isn't
he, Mike? He's bringing it, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. All right, let's talk about the president, Mike. The White House says when the president heard about it, he was furious, and he has ordered an internal review to try to find out why this decision was made and to make sure it doesn't happen again. The president said it was a mistake, and then he says that his Deputy Chief of Staff, Jim Messina, will lead this review. So regardless of Curtis's theory, we got to make it clear that's a theory, the White House says the president did know, and he is mad.
Thank you for that.
All right.
Rochelle, thanks for clarifying there. All right.